Hello
I
and
mean,
welcome to Horn of Plenty. We're back.
that was a top joke.
No, it wasn't.
One
Uh,
day, one day, we're gonna punk this show, and it's gonna be changed to Horn Aplenty, and it's just gonna be a dating sim for one
well,
session.
the last campaign was a dating sim, so you've kind of got a reprieve of this one.
Yeah,
Richter's got a love interest.
Victor has a love interest, yeah.
All right. Speaking of,
I want to see Amaryllis pollinate someone.
I like the idea that that's part of taking care of her. Like, Balara has to, like, glue a dead bee to a toothpick and, like, rub it on all of her blossoms.
Or like a paintbrush. Not.
yeah, that's the classic way, the paintbrush.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you guys use for paintbrush? I use dead bees.
Yeah.
So,
They're
Yeah,
fluffy.
you ever seen Doxy
They're
paint?
fluffy.
It's disturbing.
I'm actually allergic to bees, so even fucking around with dead ones, it's dangerous for me.
Confirmed. Doxy not fucking bees. Okay. Moving on. We returned to the material plane, back home, back to the real world. Or is it? Is this world any more real than the one you were just in? Yes. Back into that ice cave that now there's no... And there's like nearly no sign of the Fae that left before because they just dissolved, you know. And the weapons they were wielding were part of their bodies. Aside from the sling, actually. One of the little guys had a sling, so that's still there. The inside of this ice cave, I don't know if you remember, almost resembles the inside of a camp. There's a couple of setups and areas where clearly a fire have been burned. But are you just gonna head right back home with Sophie?
Yes, please.
I
Okay.
think that Balara would insist, and I think Richter would insist.
You rush back as quick as you can. Going through the snow here seems like no trouble compared to what you've just been through. You find Oscar fretting at one of your gates because you have places where a gate would be if you had enough time and woodworking to make gates currently. But he's there threading. You can tell that he's like just moments away from going with you because he's actually got like a bag of supplies with him under his cloak. But he does like stand from where he was sitting anxiously. And you can just immediately see concern crinkle over his face when you come back to town.
I think Richter would rush straight to Leha, if you can. Straight to the hut.
I would go talk to Oscar.
Amaryllis is also going to go towards Oscar first.
Okay, so as you're rushing to Leha, you can talk to Oscar, who at the moment, he's just, like I said, his face is just crumpled in thought and concern. It's like the most emotion you've ever seen him have.
I would say, we got her. We have her. She's home.
Yes.
Things did happen that we need to be wary of.
Yes.
I
Yes.
fear that telling you about it might hurt more than help. At least until we have it figured out.
He gives you a bit of a look. It's very hard. Like I said, there's the most emotion you've ever seen, but it's really hard to tell what motion it is exactly. But he does nod and kind of march after Richter towards Leha's hut. He's clearly thinking through a
would
lot
follow.
of things.
Amaryllis would have, well, I mean, a glance for Amaryllis, which is very slow, but she would have glanced at Belle when she said best not to speak to him. And then as he marched off, Amaryllis would just hold her back for just a moment and say, "We need to ask whether he or her has had anything to do with the Fae. That looked, based on what the flow revealed to me, that almost seemed to be a repayment of a debt or a favor for one treasured?
Valara would go white. She would go white.
What an archfey does not understand, perhaps, is the impact that their peculiar brand of magic can have on a mortal. But I do not think harm was intended. But such beings are inscrutable. And then she would sort of begin moving slowly after the boys.
All right. You bring, like, this has happened several times before, where Leha seems to already know what's happening before you explain it. And she just kind of shushes you when you try to use the energy to explain it. Guiding you to put Sophie down on that kind of like stone table of hers. Where she immediately starts crushing together salves and pulps and checking all the things and taking a drop of blood and all of that sort of stuff. The drop of blood, which drips slow and congealed into a little stone couplet. That's probably the thing that you end up noticing the most. Because everything else you've seen Leha do 1,000 times. She doesn't seem concerned. She just seems busy and bustled. Not exactly that she knows what she's doing, but this is how Leha tends to the ill, you know.
With a 2 to medicine, would I have any idea what that thick blood might mean?
Oh, yeah, sure. Give me a medicine check.
Sure. With disadvantage?
No.
Okay.
Oh, yes, because you're exhausted. Sorry,
Okay.
my bad.
That's okay.
No, you're not. It got rid of it.
No,
But
you
I
got it
take
again.
the other one back.
Oh,
I'm failing a
God.
con save, yeah. D&D, everyone.
No, you've not seen anything exactly like that. Yeah, it's hard to, like, aside from like dead frozen creatures, like they've died recently of frostbite or something, you know. That's the thing that would come to mind, which is not nice.
Thorin would put his hand on Richter's shoulder. You should sit. Could take a while.
I think we should all give Leha her space. Can't be easy working among all of us. And we want Sophie to receive proper care, focused care, and quick care.
Richter's just like looking at his mum's face. Just looking up and down.
Like I said,
Everyone...
she's seems to be in a dream, which is the more than, you know, before she was in just like a blank coma.
Mm. If he heard what you said, he didn't listen. He's just looking.
I'm just purely out of curiosity at this point. Can I get a read on Oscar? Does he seem to have any inkling of
You can give
what
me an
that
insight.
might have been? Or is he just purely concerned?
He is a wise man. He's not... I mean, you don't know if he would go into some kind of, like, shock at this kind of thing, and he's definitely very concerned. But when they were kidnapping her, he was, like, angry. Now he's not. That might just be the benefit of time, but...
I'm not doing anything about it. I was just for
Thank you,
Amaryllis,
yes.
Amaryllis is just not suspicious because that implies distrust. She just thinks he might know more than is currently out in the open.
So, imagine everyone but Rector kind of leaves for space. Maybe Torin would focus on, tending to his and Belara's frostbite.
I'm not sure. Because if she wakes up as a blue zombie, Victor might not be able to kill his mum.
I'm sorry, Mum.
So if you want to stay, kind of watch then.
I think Torin would hang about on the pretense of in case he needs to fetch anything for Leha.
My ma, I'll do it.
Ritz is too much of a little wuss for that.
Amaryllis is going to leave and will just start ruminating like old memories and stories of Fae and their healing and possibly like what it would mean for like a mortal to not become a Fae, but something like that along those lines. She's just ruminating on a variety of stuff like that.
Belara would take her own advice and go home and get rest. She would on the way out squeeze Richter's shoulder and she would say, if you guys need anything, if there's anything I can do, you know where my hammock is.
Okay.
And then leave.
It would actually be in the night. It would actually be after, Bella's already taken a rest. I don't know if Torin actually would have. Just as all of this was still going on. It'd be long after Leha has finished doing any, curative procedures and more just checks and writing and looking through books and that kind of thing. But I imagine both Richter and Torin would still be in the chamber when, I'm not going to say suddenly, but without any warning, Sophie sits up. And it's not like a whoom, like it's like a arm push, slow, someone waking up. No reaction?
I imagine that Torin's set back, and although he's there for that protective reason, he's probably like dozing. He's like crouched out, sitting down like, on a low bench, whatever, like helmet tipped forward over his eyes. No, the helmet, obviously. But I imagine he's not in the position to be particularly perceptive. He's kind of relying on someone to react and then spring into action.
What happens? It kind of you cut out for me a little bit. Could you say that?
Sophie sat up.
Oh shit!
Like like a normal person after a really
long sleep.
So she's still sat up now. We're not like
yeah.
Mother.
Richter. She goes to stand, but it's one of those like you see the leg shake.
No. Stay on the table.
That's right. You need to stay down. You've been out of commission for quite some time. And you see Sophie like look to Leha, and then it's a very like Oscar look. Kind of looks and then just kind of like smiles like, what kind of knock have I taken?
It would have been a long time since Richter heard that voice. I'll turn to Torin with like tears about to stream and Torin, she's awake.
Tell your mother what's gone on.
Yeah, at this point, when you like turn back, Sophie is looking down at her skin, which is this. I'm not going to say unnatural blue because it's not like so vibrant. It still has like the texture of skin and the differences and all that kind of thing. But she just like has noticed, staring at her hands.
You've been ill for a very long time, and a lot has happened. and I'll just put her into a big hug.
She just hugs back. It is strange that there's just no warmth, but that's not something you're focused on right now, obviously.
Yeah.
He like goes in for a hug and he's like, oh, my nips.
It's like sticking a tongue to a lollipop. It's like, ow, ow, ow.
She's not painfully cold. I will add, she's not
cool.
painfully cold. She's cool. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I would just like through tears just be like, and there was a dragon, and then like kind of
like you try to explain everything. Yeah. Sophie listens to it all, and you can tell that she's focused. Like her dark brown eyes just don't ever really go away from you. And there's the occasional like, when you eventually stop talking, she will say, kind of more to Lehar than you, like, where is Oscar? Like, boy, go and fetch him. Like, pointing to Torin.
Right away, Leia. He'd like scramble around on the bench, pick his helmet up.
Yeah. When you
give a smile to Richter, and then head out.
When you bring Oscar in, and he can tell that's why you've come and got him. He's slow. The thing that comes to mind is like a man on their wedding day, and they're kind of like humbled. But there's a little maybe fear to it as well. He actually kneels like with his sword before her, which makes Sophie just kind of like scoff at the kind of formality of it. And she'll kind of like brush the sword aside and pull him in to a hug and like kiss his cheek and all that kind of thing. And that's when you actually do see your father cry, just a little bit. And it's a very long moment.
Not to ruin the moment, but just for DM information, because I imagine Amaryllis was probably like sleeping standing up outside somewhere.
Yeah, you would hear the bustle and commotion.
Yeah, she would have noticed, and she would now be basically standing outside Leia's hut, like listening. Like, not obviously listening, but it's Amaryllis. Not like visible, but...
I thought I'd never look into those eyes again, properly. With you looking back. Sophie just nods. She, you don't know whether the true weight of it all has necessarily hit her yet, but she nods. Well, what matters is that I am back, I think. We could worry about this, or we could be happy that the spirits have, in a roundabout way, guided me back to you, I suppose. Oscar just nods and wipes the tear away from his eye.
How do you feel? Are you okay?
Cold.
I like worryingly look at Amaryllis when she says that, but then like hide it and just.
Well, as I said, Amaryllis is like hidden outside the door. You wouldn't be able to.
Oh, sorry. Apologies.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get you. If she's all right to move, we'll get her home. And like, well, I wouldn't recommend it. And Oscar's already scooped her up, already, and like grabbed the like blanket she was laid upon and wrapped it round her and scooped her up. And
you have 15 years of fucking to catch up on. Just saying.
But that's actually right, because while there's like the weight of this all on Oscar's face, there's less of that on Sophie's face. She's just kind of she actually giggles a little at being just swept up, because you may remember she was a much more muscular woman before however long she was in a coma. Oscar wouldn't have been able to pick her up easily for a long time. And does just march her back to the house. But on the way, she does stop him and kind of motion towards the green wall, the living wall. Near Richter's house are where two of the larger trees have started growing. And their pine leaves are growing in this very vibrant green, like new fresh pine leaves, and it smells great. She just kind of like stops him to look at it all. And... So much has changed. I can already hear less laughter. And Richter just nods, and we've lost many. Too many. I'm glad to finally get someone back. And we'll bring her back to the bring her back to the home, sit her down in like a chair that no one is allowed to sit on because it was her chair. Light the hearth, all this stuff that Oscar hasn't lit the hearth in like 5 years. That's like a Richter job. All that kind of thing. All this procedure and lots of catching up to do. What are you guys doing?
I'm sleeping.
Torrin would leave it like 5-10 minutes. Well, actually, I mean, this depends what Richter's doing. If Richter's staying with them at Lehas, then...
They've left Lehas. They've gone back to his house.
Good.
I think, yeah, I would just go with Mum and Dad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Torrin will wait like 5-10 minutes. Silence, like maybe tidying up, sort of meaningless pottering about before he eventually broaches the topic that he doesn't really want to broach, which is it permanent?
This to Leha.
Will she stay like this forever? Is she still one of us?
I mostly can only answer your questions with more questions. She's alive. She's herself. She's not possessed nor cursed in a conventional sense that a prayer can remove. If what you explained is true and these Fae of Ice... Torrin, it rings a bell. And she does. She sits down heavily now that there's no current stress and crosses her arms. That's right. We try to keep it quiet. But every few decades, these Fae of Ice have come to steal from this village. Every 40 years, 50 years. I remember hearing about the first person who scared them all away.
Has a person ever been taken before?
Stories were only passed down by the last druidic priest to me. I don't think the specifics were kept because it was something better to keep quiet. Maybe they thought it was a blessing from the or offerings to the spirits. Sometimes the Fae can be confused for beneficial entities to us.
Who scared them away?
She'll go and start looking through some books. As I start looking through my books.
Book.
She takes an old book that's dusty, but it's more of a journal. Ovinda Duggal. He was one of us. He was a follower of Eirik. He could control the wind to some degrees. He was an explorer. He went to all the magical places this side of the Horn. A mountain of monsters. This ice cave, I remember. He was before my time. Well, maybe I might have seen him when I was a young girl.
An adventurer.
An adventurer. Spent a lot of time with Minotaur in the city, I suppose, to hear more about them. Maybe you'll find more information about them there. I remember a story about a pure place. Somewhere so pure and blessed by the spirits of the land itself. Maybe it could lead to the secrets of purifying the river.
Torin lean in. Well,
I don't remember any more than there was a story. But he kept journals.
he kept journals.
Often in our community, someone who takes to writing so much is seen as a bit of an outcast, so he kept them mostly to himself. Known for losing them all over the place. He was blessed by Eirik, but not graceful like him.
Yes, I can relate to that, actually.
If you could grow a better beard, you'd probably be quite a lot like Govinda Duggal.
You say his journals are scattered across Mother's Horn?
I could imagine amongst the toffs in Shinebank, it might be quite a collector's item, even. And, I know he went to Monster Mountain. That's when he didn't return.
Monster Mountain, I'm not familiar.
She will, like, take out a map. And if you imagine, you're in a valley of mountains. Essentially, the next mountain north is a big one. And it is just labeled Monster Mountain.
I guess that's as good a place as any to start looking.
It's a dangerous place. You don't call a mountain Monster Mountain unless it either looks like a monster or it has lots of monsters. This is the latter.
Solid logic. But we haven't changed the name of this place to Dragon's Haunt just yet, so let's hope.
Ha! No, not yet. Still a few of us still knocking.
How... Have you ever heard tell of how to kill a dragon?
A dragon is flesh and blood just like anything else. Not that you'd want that, not that they'd believe it themselves. I've been thinking about this, Doran. I have. I think it would need the support of all the peoples of the valley. I don't know if we could lure the dragon out and get the dragon to fight on our terms. But that's what I've thought on.
It's possible. The people want to resist.
It's more than possible. The lot of you are downright friendly. I'm sure you'll even be able to make friends with the Gwaelings.
You think?
The
the little otter people.
That you've only ever seen before as they shake their spears at you to get you to go away.
You think?
I think of anyone other than maybe Avinda Duggal to have a chance, it would be the four of you. Speaking of, you should tell Balara that the woman she risked life and limb to save is now up and about.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Do you have a... Never mind. Donald will pick up his helmet, give her a nod, and plod on towards Griff's.
Excelente. Just real quick, Amaryllis, whomst would you have gone with? Would you have followed the Starnox? I can't stop. I can't stop. I don't want to stop, but I can't.
It's an addiction.
I feel like, I mean, I really wanted Amaryllis to be there for the conversation between Leha and Torrin, but I don't. But given the 5 or 10 minute gap before Torrin started speaking, I think she would have gone like near the Starnock residence and just done her best tree impression, and just like
just stopped outside of it a little way.
Yeah, just be like not quite pretending to be asleep because she doesn't really care enough, but she's definitely like
she's watching them, but she's not moving.
Yeah, exactly. She's being Amaryllis,
and you can see them through the windows, and it's quite heartwarming. There's the whole look how you've grown sort of thing, and Sophie's talking a lot about how strong you seem to have got, Richter, which I imagine would be a lot of childish tales of what you've gone through in the last several months.
I'd stand up straight when she says that.
You're a big boy.
There's not enough space for them because it's been so long. So it's literally like her in a chair, Oscar in his chair, and Richter like sitting on his cross-legged in front of the fire.
Playing with like wooden cars.
we gave away Richter's baby chair when we didn't need it anymore. So and that's the kind of stuff that's going on. A lot of catching up.
I'm sat on my mum's knee and I break her leg.
Oh my god.
Torrin. Up to Griff's. Griff is working. It's daytime and Griff is working. Griff is actually, and the way this workshop works, the water wheel is spinning, you can see things moving. It's wholesome to see it going.
Morning, Griff.
Alright.
She about?
Kind of like checks the corner she would have crashed in. And I imagine she is just... Bella's just passed out.
Yeah, you see a barefoot just kind of sloppily hanging
out of
over the side
divider,
of a hammock.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Torrin. Torrin, he was going to go and wake her up. But instead he's going to go up and tickle her foot.
Please roll a Constitution save, Bellara.
Okay. Am I still exhausted?
No, you've slept it off.
Okay.
Torrin is.
God, I keep doing that.
Torrin never got a point of exhaustion.
You did at the last moment.
Oh, crap, yeah, I did.
You haven't done any rolls, so it's fine. Belle does not stir. You to go and tickle her foot? No, really.
Sleeping off exhaustion, bud.
Nothing.
He's gonna pull out the mace. No, I kid. Torrin will get a bit closer to the old ear. Belle, it's Reggie. Wake up, Belle. Reggie is here.
I imagine that in her sleepy stupor, she would sit up and immediately have a dagger out, like in between her and Torrin.
I love that trope.
Torrin would take a couple steps back and yelp. Oh!
It would be kind of hilarious watching that unfold in a hammock, by the way.
Where do you even keep that thing? It's not like a bed you can just pop it under the pillow. I mean, it'll end up under your, because of he gestures at the hammock.
And then she would indicate several pouches hanging off the side of her hammock, including like 2 little sheets. One empty and one holding her other dagger.
Of course.
Sorry, Torin. How long have I been sleeping? Water. Is there water? And she's just waking up.
Well, I came to say, Sophie's up and about.
She wouldn't even get dressed. She would just be up and be like, all right, let's go.
Maybe we ought to give her time to get used to how things are. It's been quite a few years.
I'm going to go say hi to Sophie. You can come or not come. I'm going to go say hi to Sophie.
All right.
Thank you for coming to wake me.
Don't blame me if she doesn't remember you.
She'll like, her eyes will be glaring, her mouth will be grinning as she walks out.
Taryn,
she'll run like just barefoot through the snow,
Oh my
not
God.
even dressed over to the start.
Yeah,
fucking bear chat.
I can imagine the wistful music now. Nice.
Taryn would give her like a slap on the back as she begins to run off, and then he'd like shrug at Griff and begin trudging back to his home where he's gonna go to sleep.
Finally, cut back to Starnock House, where
There's three in House Starnock.
Starnock. Sophie's just listening. Oscar hasn't got much to say, but is smiling a lot.
Belle's just gonna walk there, and she's gonna be running there, and she's gonna be like, "That's Amaryllis, just standing like right next to the
that
wall,
is
just
true." Amaryllis is like, because outside Richter's house is a like a training yard, and just like outside of it is like Amaryllis just looking in.
I imagine actually, when she gets like kind of close to the Starneck residence, she'll slow down a little bit, but still be like at a brisk pace, and she just like without even turning her head to Amaryllis, just be like Amaryllis, and just keep walking past her to the door and knock.
Amaryllis does not respond. Is just going to stay there.
Amaryllis, in parentheses. Is
Oscar's gonna open the door. It's when he opens the door that he also sees Amaryllis out there. And he does... It's a bit weird seeing Oscar smile like this, because it's been so long. And he does look back to Sophie, like, acknowledging you, but like, this is more important to him, and he goes, "Oh yes, and our boy has made friends with a living tree." I don't know if you've mentioned that.
Was it an acknowledge, like a come in, or?
Well, yeah. Afterwards, he would kind of, like step aside from the door, holding it open for you.
I would throw my arms around him. I'd be fucking thrilled. I would like hug him real tight, and rush over to Richter and hug Richter, and then realize that she's hugging Richter, and then handshake out.
At sort of being commented on, Amaryllis would then gradually make her way in, not saying anything, just looking over.
You can't really fit. You could kind of like
can
loom
try.
in the doorway.
Yeah, just like.
Yeah.
I know Amaryllis doesn't have her hands up like this ever. But whenever I think of Amaryllis, I just imagine Amaryllis
like a pseudo-widow.
Yep.
Balara would fall to a knee in front of Sophie and take a hand and say, "It's so good to see you. I'm so happy you're okay. I promise I won't stay long. I just had to come see."
I'm glad to see you too. Unlike you, don't seem to have grown at all. You're still tiny.
I live on squirrels.
Heresy.
Well, I appreciate all the concern. I don't... You were all so concerned for someone that wasn't me. I was just an object for so long. And Oscar's like, don't say that. We never thought of you like that.
You
We
were
took care
always
of you
Sophie
every
to
day.
us. We made you a chair and blankets and
I'm sure I would have appreciated it. But,
And Balara would kind of fall to a child like that because, like, seeing somebody that the last time you saw them, you were a child, you do kind of regress like that, right?
Yeah.
She'd be like, and I'm teaching the children to hunt, and okay, I'm talking too much. I know. I realize now that I'm talking too much, even though I'm talking too much, and I'm not stopping talking. But hi, Sophie. So good to see you.
At some point,
Alara, quiet voice. Quieter, please.
Right, and I was being loud, and I could tell that I was being loud, but I couldn't stop being loud. Just like I can't stop talking.
at some point, Sophie just stops looking at you and looking at Amaryllis in the doorway.
Amaryllis just looks back at her.
A real-life dryad. Brought to us. At the same time as all this disaster. And looks to Oscar and is like, I always told you when we met that my people were talking with the spirits. You know, it might be hard for you kids to imagine, but you know, Oscar didn't even grow up here. Used to think the winters were so cold. I was just like, Well, I've been here a long time now. Place would be rubble if not for me. And a boy.
We've all been doing our piece for Cornucopia. In fact, Balara has done a lot.
No, I don't doubt it. She was always the smart one.
She beams with pride and looks over at Richter.
I'm going to get a drink.
And unless there's anything specific any of y'all want to do, this could be a great moment to swoosh forward in time.
Yeah, Balara, I think Balara would just be like, call on me if you need anything. If you like rabbits, I'll get rabbits. Whatever you want, I'm so happy to see you. And then she'll go and give the family their privacy.
Exactly. Much later in the evening, Oscar would bring Sophie over to the lodge. And Sophie would walk it. You would kind of pick up that Sophie is frustrated, that she's, like, atrophied, you know? That's a very annoying thing to someone who was, like, fighter level 6 or something before she got into a coma. But she would walk the whole way there. She would say that this is nice. This is nice to have somewhere like this. That we can... The whole community can stay together. I don't know how much smaller it seems now. And, of course, there's a lot of people talking about how she's blue. That is something that, you know, Oscar has to kind of introduce to people. But Oscar does it in a very manufactured. Sophie's back with us now.
Also, she's slightly blue.
It is how it is. And it's that kind of thing.
I just got that Oscar juice from that, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, who's going to argue with Oscar?
No, exactly. It's mostly going to be, you know, like the mothers of the community getting water in the morning. Like, did you see Sophie? She's back. And she's blue, you know. But in the lodge right now, nobody's saying a word. There's a couple of like, oh, so guys, you look beautiful. That kind of thing. Rosie, who doesn't even know Sophie, because she's a bit younger, and, you know, was raised with other people in the village, is fucking crying. You know.
I'm presuming we're all here being the evening
Meal, yeah. A little later because of all the stuff that's went on. But yes,
I'm not sure if you meant the entire village and Amaryllis or just the entire village. Amaryllis is not actually going to be like in the lodge. She's outside somewhere. She's not like within hearing or sight. She's just on her own thinking.
just in a.
Alara
in a
would
space.
actually kind of take special interest in making sure that Amaryllis felt included. She doesn't even know if Amaryllis cares about feeling included, but like she would be aware that this can be really not isolating. What's the word that I'm looking for? I don't know, but like
I like-
Ostracizing.
Alienating.
Alienating is the word that I was looking for.
I do like the idea of like maybe you start eating and realize Hyros is nowhere to be found and go and find her, and she's easy to find. She's not actually far away.
Belle loves the Amaryllis, so she would absolutely go and be like, so this is a lot. Sophie is really well loved.
I can tell that your village and you, young Balara, and everyone value her.
She's the reason I got good at killing things.
There's a slow nod at that. You should spend the time with her. I am not a part of this in the same way.
But you are a new part of it. You're one of us now.
True.
You're
There's a
gonna
long
really
pause.
like Sophie.
There is a long pause, and
You can like hear the laughter and the music from the lodge in the distance. It like glows. You know, you're over a hill.
it is difficult to operate on the same time scale as you mortals. And I have much to think on with regards to what happened. I am sure that in time I will have opportunities to speak to Sophie and to understand her and for her to know me in some sense as the rest of the village have come to do. But for the time being, I simply need to think.
Okay. Well, I, at the very least, certainly don't know what to expect from you, but won't hold any expectations on whatever you're feeling right now. Please know that you're welcome in there by our sides whenever you're ready.
You have my gratitude for that, young Balara.
She'll squeeze whatever looks like a shoulder. And head back. I
Yeah.
really hope it wasn't a titty or something.
I mean, given your comparative heights,
Okay,
Amaryllis
well,
being like 6.5 foot tall, and
hang, hang, see ya.
I think I speak for everyone when I say
Good
nice.
talk.
Nice.
Where are you right now, Torrin?
Lodge.
Torrin would be in the lodge.
Thorin doesn't miss meals.
He's a growing boy.
Every now and then, through all the like festivities and stuff, I would like try and catch Torrin's eye with like just a glance to try and have him like come over, or for him to notice at least.
I think Torrin would notice. He's, Leia's not here. He's not talking to anyone in particular. He's literally, fuck you dogs, he's literally just sitting there eating. Like, that is his express purpose for being there at this time. He's probably also pondering something to do with dragon slaying and Evander and all that. I think, like, the first one or two times that you catch his eye, he like smiles and then nods, like, yeah, well done, you got your mum back. I'm pleased for you, mate.
Then,
Yeah.
like, the third time, you're like, what?
Yeah, he's like, I guess.
You got a crush? What's happening?
So I think like he.
portrait, it will last longer. I'm sorry. I'm done.
Wow. He'd finish his bowl of stew, as I imagine it is. Yeah, it always is. It always.
It's always stew.
I know.
It's always stew based because you can get a lot more out of food, and you're gonna have
Exactly,
a benefit
yeah.
of having a lot of food.
You boil something for a long time, and like you stick a load of bones in a pot and boil it. Bam, nutritious goodness.
Exactly.
That's what you feed Baby Yoda at spoilers.
Gotta feed Baby Yoda your bone.
Oh no, Baby Yoda, my incorruptible little baby.
It's a reference
was-
to a meme.
If I was feeding Baby Yoda my bone, I wouldn't put it in the fridge first.
Oh my god.
I
say
would.
Nobody
room
wants a warm bone.
I don't want
Anyway.
a cold bone.
I don't want a warm bone either.
But if your bone was hot, would you then apply some cool sauce to said bone?
Then you want a mid-tier bone.
You
I
got
don't
a
know what we're
hot.
even
You got the
talking about
pleasure of the
anymore.
hot without it burning your tongue. Anyway, Torrin would finish his bowly bowl and he would take it because they return them, and he would sort of on his way to return it, he would meander over towards Richter. He's still a bit like his mum's back. He doesn't want to just like invade their personal space. It's difficult enough in a village this size to like have any personal time.
So when you approach Richter, he would like look at you and like walk past and outside, expecting you to follow.
Torrent wouldn't. No, I can't. Can you imagine that? Just cocked it.
Whoa, what
a
fucking arsehole.
Torrent would pop his bowl down as he was planning on doing, and then follow Richter out. He looks. The look on his face is like when someone like, "Can we just have a word?" or "Can I have a word?" He's not sure why, and it comes across, and he looks uncomfortable.
So when we get outside, Richter would put his back to the wall and sort of not say anything for a little while, just staring at the melting snow on the ground. And just kind of just like stare at it in silence with you being there with him.
Good stew today.
My mother's back, and yet I feel worse than when she was asleep.
Why?
I don't know. Of course, when she first awoke, I was happier than I've ever been, but the whole last night I couldn't stop thinking. Why?
Well, I would say there's no need to feel blue. That's your mum's job. He would take a step forward. He'd tap Richter on the shoulder, and he'd say, "If we'd been faster, if we'd been stronger, if we'd stopped those guys, you know what would have happened? What would have changed? Your mum would be unconscious in your house right now. Sometimes the will of the spirits works in ways that we cannot understand, that we can't fathom.
I know. She's blue. That's why I was smiling, because that's a stupid thing to say. She's blue. And she's cold. I'd grab your hand and put it to the bricks. When I hold her hand, this is what I feel.
You saw when we travelled across that gateway into the Feywild. Life comes in many forms, many styles. I guess it's whatever took the fancy of the spirits that made them. Although your mother's style and looks have changed, she's still your mother. We are very set in our ways. We're a small village. We're used to doing things the way it's always been done here. But things are changing. The village has been attacked by a bloody dragon. The dead have risen from death. The wounded have risen from that. Sometimes resurrection and death can be evil. We saw that with the Minotaurs. Other times it can be pure. It can be a second chance.
Why can't they just leave my mum alone? It doesn't feel right. Something is wrong. Why would he just save her?
When I sat on that mountainside, why did Idric whisper to me and not you? You're faster than me and stronger than me. Amaryllis came to our village in our time of need. If she were here, she would say, the flow has many directions. It's not our business to wonder why we go down the route we go, but to try to stay afloat in the current.
I don't think I'll ever understand. We're supposed to accept what happens to us and only react sometimes. And when we react and good things happen, it was meant to be. And when they don't, it wasn't.
I think it's possible you might never get the answer you want. You probably don't know the answer you want.
That like pregnant moment of thought is interrupted by hearing your mother really laugh. Like just one of those very genuine, warm laughs that kind of echoes out of the building. You even hear Oscar laughing a little bit as well. More at the fact that something cracked Sophie up so much. It's kind of a very deep laugh compared to hers. Almost a harmony.
This whole thing is making me love Oscar so much more.
You should be proud.
I didn't do anything.
Well, if we hadn't gone there, your mum wouldn't have come back. More to the point,
I was the one that fell, remember?
I mean that you should be proud. You're going through a lot right now, I know. Your mum is blue. But let me put this another way. Your mum's going through a hell of a lot more. She is blue. She's been unconscious for years. She needs you there with her. If Oscar is her shield, then you can be her spear. We can find out what's going on. I spoke to Leha. There's a possibility that someone else from the village years ago went through that portal, discovered it, possibly had dealings with those Fae. His name was Evander Dougal. He was a worshipper, a priest of Iric, like me. Apparently he wrote a lot, left journals all over the place. Leha thinks perhaps they're collector's items in Shinebank, and she said the last place he was seen, the last place he went, Monster Mountain. I reckon he didn't come back. I reckon we find his remains, we find a journal, and we know where to look for the next one. This creature may have had the power to bring your mum back from whatever that arrow had done to her. But don't lose faith. Iric possesses the power to turn her back to how she was. Believe in him. He won't let you down. And neither will I. He put his hand on Rita's shoulder.
I think Richter would put his face in Torrance' shoulder. And just say thank you.
A bit after that, Oscar kind of steps into the because he got the big open doorways with like one arm in. He's very relaxed. He's not even wearing all of his armor. Look, boys, you should come in. Out from the cold.
Torrin would make his way in.
Yes, sir.
Sophie just found a collection of charcoal sketches from Leha when she was younger, when she was doing checkups on all of you as wee sprites.
Oh, not these again.
I bet you thought that they were taken out with the dragon, but no. They survived. And there is like a little huddle, and I imagine Belle would be there at this point as well, of the little baby drawings.
Oh no!
Yeah, and you know, it's a wholesome bit of fun when you come, like Sophie, who would be the one sitting with the book, would kind of like wave Richter to sit by her and kind of like put a comfortable arm around her, around Richter, and even though she's cold and it's not the same, it is comforting. And this is where we're gonna take a break, as the camera zooms. We'll be back in a little bit.